Okay. Hi there. This is Phil Simborg with the USBGF, and I have the pleasure of introducing my fellow teaching partner from the Backgammon Learning Center and one of the top players in the world consistently for many years now, John O'Hagan. And first of all, I want to say congratulations, John, for winning the Wisconsin Open last weekend. That was a great win with a really tough field.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, so this is a position that came up recently in a money game or chouette, and to set the stage, red is on roll holding the 2 cube, and the question is, should red redouble here? And if red redoubles, should blue take or drop? And several of us looking at this position did not get it entirely right. So let's take a couple of seconds and you think about what you would do here. If you were red, would you redouble? And if you were blue, would you take or drop? And after you come up with your decision, let's hear what John has to say about it. We'll see what XG has to say about it. So let's give him a couple seconds. Okay, by now, hopefully you've blundered as much as many of us have, and let's hear what John has to say. Take it away, John.
All right, Phil. So as red here, the first question to ask is not should I double, but am I sure that blue has a take?
Woolsey's Law.
Woolsey's Law. Very good advice. So let's look at it from blue's point of view. Currently the race is close. Red is on roll down 5 pips. This was a pure race, and red was down 4 pips. The game would be pickle. So blue's doing good in the race. Yeah, this becomes a race, which is a big tip because red has a lot of ways to cover his 4-point. Blue might stay on the bar a while, so it's clearly not a race. But if it becomes one, then blue will have pretty good chances. Also, not everything covers. Let's count the covering numbers here for red. Any 4 or 5, that's 20, plus 3, 1, 2, 2, and 1, 1. That's 4 more. Plus 3, 2. There's another 2. That's 26 so far. Plus from the midpoint, double 3s and 6, 3. So that's 29. And 6, 1 makes the 3-point. So there are 31 covers.
So you wouldn't count a switch with double 2. Oh yeah, you just cover with double 2 or double 1. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. And so that's 31. And notice that double 5s is a super joker. That actually closes the board. So I think blue still has to take this. But you know, certainly some players would give it up. You know. So using the Woolsey rule, I'm pretty sure that blue should take. Now, given the fact that I'm pretty sure blue has
let me interject something right here, John. You're pretty sure that blue should take. If you had concluded that blue should drop, then it's a double for sure, unless you might be too good to double, which is clearly not the situation here because there's too many ways you could lose. If you came to the conclusion that you think blue might take or blue might drop, but you're not sure, then according to Woolsey's Law, for sure it's a double. But John has concluded that blue has a sure take. So now what do you do?
Okay, so now red might or might not have a double. And it basically depends on how volatile the position is. By that I mean, how likely is it that before red's next roll, he will have lost his marker? And here that's pretty likely. As I said earlier, basically you've got 5-5 closes the board, and 30 other numbers will make a 5th inner board point, mostly the 4-point, but with 6-1 will make the 3-point. And blue will then be on the bar against the 5-point board and dance 70% of the time. So right there, 22 out of 36 times, blue is still on the bar, and red will have covered his 4-point or made his 3-point, or maybe closed the board altogether with double 5. So that's a huge number of market movement.
There's no way. What you're saying is that in those sequences, there's no way on the next roll, if red didn't double now, that blue would take the cube under those circumstances. So that's why he's lost his market.
Yeah. Blue certainly would drop if that sequence were to occur. Now, just to give you an idea, frequently, if you have 9 market losers out of 36, and you're doing all right on the other 27, that usually is enough to offer an initial double. Here, you've got 22 market losers out of 36, which is way more than 9. So even if this is a really big take for blue, there's so much volatility that you really do have to double. And one other comment. As I said, red is very likely to cover a 5th point. And one thing to keep in mind is that on average, if you are on the roof as blue is here trying to enter against a 5-point board, on average, that's going to take you over 3 rolls to enter. So during that time, red will be rolling an average of 8 pips per roll, and will have forged a big lead in the pip count. So there really is a clear redouble and a take.
Well, let's hit XG++, which is the best way to evaluate a position short of a rollout. And it confirms what John says. It's a very solid double, almost a blunder if you didn't, and a huge take. And I have to tell you, John, that the guys in my chouette, we all pretty much agreed on the cube. It was the take that lots of people had problems with. They couldn't see how you could have a take here because, like you, we counted a lot of really good rolls for red, and we couldn't see why blue should take the cube. Can you elucidate us a little bit in that area?
Well, first of all, you have the 5 numbers that don't cover. And 6-6 is a real bad number for red. Let's see, what is it? 6-2, I guess red will just make the 7 point, maybe a direct 4 shot. And 2-1, I think red will want to safety everything up and play 6-5, 6-4. So on those 5 numbers, blue is, I don't know, roughly even money, I guess. And so he certainly is doing okay there. On the 30 numbers, the other 30 numbers other than double 5s, blue's not dead. He needs to get lucky. He needs to roll a 3, and maybe, hopefully, he will be able to hit red with the other half of the dice, 3-1, 3-3, 3-6, for example. Maybe if red covers with 3-1, for example, blue will also be able to hit outside with a 3-5. So, he just needs to get lucky.
So I think another important factor of this position is it doesn't appear, and this is what scares lots of people, that blue will get gammoned a lot. Right now, before the roll, according to XG, he's going to get gammoned around 12.5% of the time. But don't forget, when he wins gammons about 7% of the time. If blue does come in hitting or gets a shot later, he's going to win some gammons too. So your net gammon losses are not that high here. And if gammons are only worth 0.5, which is the case in a money game, if your net gammons are 5, you really only have a 2.5 game risk based on gammons. If your take point, live cube take point, your average live cube take point in the money game is about 21.5. One thing you can do is you can figure out that it doesn't take too much. You have to win this game only about 25% or so to have a take. And it's pretty easy to see that you can win this game 25%. Now, that's the problem, though. If you can't see how blue will win this game 1 out of 4 times, then the thing to do is to set this up at XG and play it 4 times. You won't learn a darn thing, by the way, after you play it 4 times, because you might win a gammon all 4 times, or you might get gammoned all 4 times. But if you play it out a few times, maybe 10 times or 15 times or so on, you'll start to see how blue really can win this game and how rarely he does get gammon and why that's worth taking the cube as opposed to just giving up and losing the 2 points.
Yeah, and also if you want to look at it this way, as I said earlier, if red rolls one of his 5 really bad numbers, the game's roughly, it's just kind of an off-the-cuff guess there, maybe one side or the other might be a small paper, but roughly even. But even on those 30 times when red does cover, after all, blue will then roll a 3 30% of the time. So in those 9 games where it goes cover and then blue rolls a 3, roughly half of his other numbers will hit somewhere, and he'll be in good shape. So, it's pretty clear that he's going to luck out and win enough of those all-day games from the main category of the 30 covers.
So let's apply the principle of most common variation, where you look at the sequence of the next roll. That's a lot what John just did. He looked at what's red likely to roll and what are his odds and what kind of shape is he in, and then what is blue likely to roll. So most of the time, red's going to do something in cover. And that 30% of the time that blue comes in with a 3, 3-1 hits. 3-3 is a super joker. It hits and covers. 3-2 doesn't do anything much, but it doesn't really hurt him. 3-4 isn't very good. 3-5, 3-6 hits. So he's hitting with, say, about half of his coming in rolls, and one of them, the double 3, is a super joker. On some rolls with like a 3-5, he doesn't get into trouble, and he's sitting right here, and he probably plays safely and not leaves another blot. But what happens if he comes in with one of the numbers that comes in and hits like a 3-1? And now red's on roll. Let's just see what red's equity is here and what blue's winning chances are here. Look at this. In that sequence, it's almost a toss-up. This game is almost a 50-50 game. This is before red's roll. And if red doesn't come in here, which happens 16 times out of 36, what is that, 44%? That red doesn't come in? 44% of the time when red doesn't come in. Now let's see what happens with blue's on roll and what his equity is here. He's a 70% favorite. It doesn't take much to turn this game around big time. As a matter of fact, this would probably be a redouble for blue if blue's holding a 4 cube here and this sequence happened. I'm sure it's a redouble. I'm not sure that red has a take here.
I agree.
So let's find out. Let's just see. This is how strong. Oh, it is still a take. It's still, but it's a redouble, very big redouble, in a very strong position for blue now. And it looks like it's a take for all of the same reasons that blue had a take in the previous one. We should have learned from the previous one. Blue may not cover, and red might come in, and the sequence starts all over again the other way. Isn't backgammon fascinating? Anything else to add about this position, John?
Yeah, if he could go back to the original position, and then let's give red a covering number, and then have blue dance, and now have red on roll with the cube on 4 on blue side, and I think it'll show that it's a clear pass, so you will have lost your marker.
Yeah, it would have been a big pass. Now with only 21 wins, and then you subtract the gammons, you're way under the 21.5 average live cube take point for a money game.
Yes.
Yeah, big pass. So losing your market, meaning that you would, if you hadn't doubled, you're going to cash and win 2 points instead of winning 4 points much of the time when you turn the cube, and maybe even 8 points if you get lucky and get a gammon.
Yep.
So we don't want to lose our market at most scores. At some scores, it's right to lose your market, but most of the time, if you have a lot of market losers, which is what John pointed out here, that's a major reason to double, even though you know your opponent's taking.
Yeah.
All right, John, thank you very much for your analysis and your help, and your donating your time to the USBGF. And I hope to pick your brain again for many more positions in the future. And again, congratulations on last weekend's Wisconsin win.